This video is a little bit different for me. I'm thinking about it of when I started cutting hair. When I started cutting hair, I would go door to door. You literally just put it over their head just enough so it could fit. And that was your cape. And you would be cool like this.
So let's go one by one, just what we need.
Literally, if you really even want it, you could just use this.
If you really want to get down to like simplicity, like bare minimum,
One clipper, lever.
A clipper and a trash bag. El Jerry, 20 plus years in the game. El Jerry, 20 plus years of experience. He's gonna tell y'all exactly what you need. Only the necessities. Only the necessities, nothing else. Not what you think you need. Only what you need to get started in barbering.
Just bare minimum. All you're gonna need is a chair, something to cover your client with, and the bare minimum to get the haircut done.
Got him! Got him! And not a barber chair, but
Any chair, a stool, whatever you can find. Yeah.
Talk about too why it's important, you know, to just focus on what you need and not like get too caught up in all the fancy little things that you don't need.
Well, the first thing is you'll never start cutting hair if you always think you need a barber chair, like a $500, $800, $1,200 barber chair. Fanciest clippers, they'll just get you to not start. So getting just something to get going is better than not starting. Well, pretty much this is gonna be the point of this video, just to get you to start doing it. When I first started, I literally had Walmart pair clippers, the little kit. I'm not even lying, and I would just use trash bags to put on my clients, and anything for them to sit on. We would literally just grab it, do a little hole. You literally just put it over their head just enough so it could fit. And that was your cape. That's gonna be the thumbnail right here.
Yeah, how old were you?
And you would be cool like this.
How old were you when you first started cutting hair?
When I first started cutting hair, I was 11, so we would just do what we could.
That's the importance of just like not worrying about, you know, having the fanciest stuff. Just what you need just to get started, and then you go from there.
Yep. And then actually, if I could think about it now, I think it's easier to just find things I used to go to people's houses when I first started cutting hair and not thinking that I needed like a barber chair or having something actually help me, because I would just go like door to door. It would be one less thing I would carry, and anything I could find for them to sit on was better than nothing.
So let's go one by one, like just what we need.
Okay, so first one for sure, so you're gonna just need a clipper with a lever. Just any clipper with a lever.
Anything you could afford.
These are pretty cheap, they're pretty good. Louis has a YouTube video on this one. If you guys would like to check it out,
Link in the description.
you can put a link in the description. For sure, you need the clipper with the lever. Some sort of oil, lubricant for your clippers. Make sure to oil them. It's gonna help you with them staying sharp and not pull your client's hair. Most of your clippers will come with at least a little bit of it, so, but eventually you wanna get like a bigger size one. This thing will last you forever. You need a trimmer. Any trimmer, don't worry about zero gapping anything, just straight out of the box and just use it. Don't start messing with it. You need any shears, scissors, whatever you need. At least one comb, whatever kind of comb, this comb, or like this comb, just have one. Another necessity you're gonna need is a water bottle, spray bottle, something to get their hair wet whenever you need it. A brush, your guards, and honestly, something to dust them off with. That's about it. That's the only thing I could think of. Yes, you could go and get a bunch of other stuff, but for me personally, I think those are the main things you need.
That's it.
Oh, well, obviously a cape, but
Or a trash bag.
or a trash bag. So if you're using trash bags, you don't need Sanex strips, because you're just gonna go through a bunch of trash bags. Probably cost the same amount as Sanex, but eventually you're gonna want to get some Sanex strips. There's different kinds, so.
And then obviously you could talk about like if you're in a shop already, obviously you're not going to be wearing or using trash bags.
And that'd be a good video, just when you put a trash bag over, hey bro, just to get their reaction. See, everything we're talking about just straight up cutting hair at your house, not barbershop vibes. Once you get into,
it could be either or, but if you're in the shop, you're not gonna be using
a trash bag, some sort of disinfectant. They used to sell these at Walmart. They don't sell them anymore.
What about barber side? To be compliant.
Compliance with the state.
So that's the bare minimum what you need to get started. Like you could get started with that, and that's all you need.
And then just get to it.
Right.
Start cutting hair. Ask anybody, friends, family. Pay people if you have to. And just
homeless people.
Homeless people, go volunteer at the homeless shelters. They need haircuts. They're amazing for transformation videos. So
see if you could get in at swap meets or stuff.
Just anything just to get going, get cutting hair. But those are pretty much the only things you need.
So now we talk about
the extras that you could start.
That's nice to have, but you don't need.
So this is just your regular standard, regular price. And then, I mean, obviously there's other ones. JRL will be more expensive. A better one of these, of what you think would be better, would be.
How about having two clippers?
Two clippers.
Zero gap, one that's not.
Zero gap. You would need another trimmer, one that's zero gap and one that's not. And then if you guys are on really, really tight budget, you could literally go out and buy like corded ones. They're like 30, 50 bucks if you're on a tight budget. Pretty much you're gonna end up needing two of everything. You're gonna need some texturizing shears, thinning shears.
So nice to have, but not necessary.
And then your regular shears. You would for sure need a flat comb and a regular comb. This would be like for your blending, your debulking. This would be for your cutting hair on top, your shear work. And then this is like a standard like guard set. The half guard, the 1.5 guard. You don't need them, but they help. What is that, GR? And then obviously these are like premium versus these regular plastic ones, but you don't need these. Another thing you don't need, but eventually you're gonna need, is gonna be a straight edge razor. You could go on and get a aftershave. Once you start using your shaver and your straight razor, you're gonna need aftershave. But before that, you don't really need this. You don't need it, but it helps eventually. So you do need a shaver, especially if you're not that good with the straight edge razor, which is what I did. I didn't start with this, but then I got a shaver, and then I would only edge up people with the shaver because I hated cutting people. Then eventually I went on to the straight razor.
How long were you cutting hair before you started using it?
Like a good 2 years, not gonna lie, about 1.5 to 2 years. I didn't use it, I was just afraid. Because when I first started, there was no like tutorials, like no videos on how to learn.
360 Jeezy?
360
No 360 Jeezy. That one came way later.
What about how long until you started using the shaver?
The shaver, I want to say like maybe like a good year, about a good year. Just because I didn't know that you needed these to be zero gapped. So I would go in with this and I would make a ball line. I didn't know how to take it out until eventually I started looking up more stuff online, and then I learned how to do it.
Good thing is, there's so much more accessible to new barbers nowadays. You don't have to start like when Jerry started and 360 Jeezy wasn't even on YouTube yet. Was he?
Nah, not when I started. Because I was 11. That was 21 years ago. Yeah, there's nothing there.
Aging yourself.
Another thing you don't have to have, but it helps, is a mirror. Where's it? Tinoco doesn't even have a mirror. He's just Carlos. A mirror. You don't have to have it, but it helps. Looking back at going door to door, I would just tell him to look at the mirror in the restroom. One less thing that you had to carry. But eventually you do need it. Other things that you're gonna eventually need are gonna be something to hold up the hair when you start cutting hair. These are like this kind of clips. There's these kind of clips. And then there's these Velcro ones. Other things you're gonna eventually need are gonna be products. When you first start, I would just stick to the cheapest gel you can find. So when I first started, I would use some gel that they used to sell at the store called La Sumesa. The X, the one with the X? Yeah. The clear one? But yeah, the green one. So just any gel, the cheapest gel you could find when you're first starting. And then eventually you want to get hairspray, some type of pomade, and then some texturizing powder. Eventually you want to get a whole bunch of brushes. Make sure to find a way to clean them so you could use a new one every time. Oh, a clean one every time. Booster seat, you don't need it. Dude, I used to use cushions. Yeah, like their cushions, pillows, anything. I would find at their house and just fold them if I needed them bigger. I think you don't have to have, but it's gonna help. It's gonna be a booster seat. When I first started cutting hair, I didn't have one. I would literally just, whoever house I was at, I would ask them if I could use a cushion. I would literally fold it in half if it wasn't thick enough and just place it on the chair and they would sit on top of it and that would help. But eventually you do want to get a booster seat. When you first start, you're gonna have to work with whatever lighting you have. I would just cut hair during the daytime most of the time when I started cutting hair, but then eventually you would just need some sort of like lighting. This is the most common one, the ring light.
Room? Yeah.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, that's a must-have. This video is a little bit different for me because I'm thinking about it of when I started cutting hair. When I started cutting hair, I would go door to door. So the least amount of things I had to carry, the better it was for me. Another thing you're gonna have to have is gonna be a broom, something to sweep up the hair. But I didn't have to carry one around with me because I would just use whoever's house I was at. So that's a thing you're gonna have a broom to pick up the hair. Obviously a dustpan.
Compressors, nice to have. They have the little...
As soon as I started cutting hair in an actual setup, I bought one right away, a compressor. I went to Home Depot and I bought myself a Husky red, I think it was like a 20-gallon one.
Something that makes it way
easier to clean, to brush hair off, whatever, and they come in handy. You don't need a compressor, but they're really, really helpful. So work on getting a compressor. Here at the shop, we have like compressor. Every station has a compressor.
There's been times, you know, I'm newer to the game, but there's been times, and I started with the compressor because Jerry had them.
Yeah, one time the compressor got messed up, and Louis was like, "This is what you had to do for years."
Like a peasant, bro. I felt like, bro, it was just like having to
dust everything with the little brush.
Off, hair all over myself.
But a compressor does help. Eventually, you guys want to have one.
Something to wash the hair.
Yeah, eventually you would want to have a sink where you could wash your client's hair. Obviously, when I started, I would finish and they would just shower or whatever, but you do need a sink. And if you can, wherever you're working at, have a sink where you could stand behind it. Like the one we have here, it's a lot more comfortable to wash your hair, but you don't have to have it like this. You could start where the sink are against the wall and then you're washing like this. Yeah, but I mean, when I first started cutting hair, I literally just started. I would go door to door with my buddy's house.
So a necessity is just the confidence to start.
Just get it going and start cutting hair.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, you have to have some common sense to know like what was like the advice he was saying for somebody that's in a shop and somebody that's cutting out of their garage. Obviously, you're not gonna be in the shop with the trash bag on, or you know, if the shop doesn't have a sink bowl, then you're just shit out of luck, you know? So there's just some factors that, you know, it is what it is with.
A little suitcase thing, and I still have it. That's what I would just put everything in there and just go on to the next house. But
it's just something to put your tools on while you're cutting, huh? Like a table.
Oh, I have a table on my Instagram. We could show a little picture of my little setup at the house. Oh, and you can see the compressor. No, you can see it. That's where I put my razors.
Oh yeah.
As far as your station, just when you first start, just try to minimize your stuff so you don't have to carry things around. Once you get into a shop, just hopefully they have, here at this shop, we have they're big toolboxes. I personally think they're a little bit too much, so you don't need a lot. As far as the station goes, I don't think you need a lot of drawers because it's just one of those things where if you have space, you're gonna want to use it and you're gonna put a bunch of stuff in it. So just try to minimize your storage as your station. Another thing you're going to need eventually would be somewhere to place your used razors. You're gonna need something to put them in. Eventually you're gonna need one of these. Something you don't have to have when you start, but you're gonna need eventually is gonna be a blow dryer, diffuser to put as an attachment to your blow dryer. It's gonna help you with like the newer textured fringe looks, messy looks. The spice ball? These are cool. You're the only one that uses it now.
People like that thing.
So another thing you don't have to have, but it's pretty cool to have, would be the spice ball sprayer, and versus just your regular sprayer. You're gonna need some talc when your client starts sweating. It helps to remove the hair. You don't have to have it, but eventually you're gonna need it. Another thing you don't have to have, but eventually you wanna get, you don't have to have it, but eventually you wanna get, it's your barber license. So that's one thing you're eventually gonna have to get.
I mean, if you're starting at
It took me 20 years to get me this one. I had my Cosmo license though, but I think it was like 20, 21 years until I got my barber license.
I mean, if you're starting at 11 years old like Jerry did, you're obviously not
gonna be able to get.
Just
But yeah, just start going, but eventually you're gonna want to get your barber license.
one thing that I could think of as a beginner barber myself, obviously it's not a necessity, it's not needed, but it's good to have is like a solid mentor, somebody to teach you, somebody that's gonna, you know, actually help you. Mine was Jerry. You know, he taught me a lot of things. He helped me a lot. He went out of his way to help me. While he had clients, if I needed help, he'd come, you know, spend a lot of time just really helping me with my clients, which you're not gonna get that everywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's gonna be willing to help you so much. So, you know, obviously you don't need somebody that's going to come over there and help you with every single client, but at least someone that's going to look out for you and be willing to, you know, guide you and get you to where you need to be as quick as possible. And that's if you're just starting out, you don't know how to really cut hair too well. 'Cause I started from scratch, you know, so that's, yeah, it helps out a lot. Yeah, that's another thing is social media. Yeah, it's not a necessity, but it helps. Obviously, it helps a lot. You post all your stuff, and especially if you could get popping on social media and your stuff starts growing, you start doing really good. That's how you're gonna be able to charge outrageous prices if that's what your goal is. If you're a nobody down the street just cutting hair, even if you're super good, yes, you could charge premium prices, but it's gonna take you a lot longer to get booked. Yeah, so social media is just like it's something that's gonna help out a lot, but it obviously it's not a necessity.
A lot of the older school barbers will tell you that you don't need it. You don't need it to get to a level of like comfort. You don't have to have it, but anything past that comfort level, you will need social media. And not just to grow as a barber, but to just try to make money other ways. A lot of the extra stuff that you have to have when you work at a shop is gonna be like state board requirement stuff. Like you're gonna need to have barber side, make sure the barber side's clean, different containers for your soiled and your clean items and personal items. State board requires you to obviously have your license.
There's a lot of stuff that you're gonna need to be in a shop. You know,
That you don't have to
you
have.
don't have to have, but in order to be in a shop and to be in line with what state board requires, those are necessities when you're in a shop. So obviously that's for the people that are in a shop. And you could look online. State board has a website. We'll make a separate video, maybe if you guys want to see that, going over, you know, how to stay compliant. But yeah, there's a website for that, just so you know. And I'm sure, you know, you could ask people in your shop. They probably don't know.
There's not a lot of stuff you have to have when you get started. So
Yeah, the main things, those, if you just getting started, then, you know, Jerry went over the things that you absolutely need, and it's not that many. All the other stuff that took up the time are not necessities. They're just things that are nice to have. And obviously there's going to be things that you need if you're in a shop compared to if you're not in a shop, as we said before.
and then obviously you need clients.
We can make another video. That's a whole nother video too. Like the best ways to acquire new clients as a beginning barber and get yourself going. Jerry could talk about things that he did in his 20 plus years of cutting hair. I could talk about some stuff that I've done. Carlos could talk about stuff. All the barbers in here could talk about stuff. So can't really think of anything else. If we missed anything, drop a comment down below. Any videos that y'all want to see, drop a comment. Let us know what type of videos y'all want to see. There's a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge and wisdom pertaining to barbering in this shop. Jerry has 20 plus years. Mars has what?
He has around like, I want to say 15, 18 years.
15, 18 years.
I have another barber next door that has about another 18, 20 years.
That's a lot of experience. I'm just getting started, so I can speak on like strictly directly from a beginner barber. Carlos is beginning in the shop, but he's been cutting hair I think for a little while. Right?
When I first started cutting hair, I obviously needed an extension cord because when I started cutting hair, I used to use corded clippers, so I had to have an extension cord. Literally, if you really even wanted, you could just use this and just put it a notch up, and that's your trimmer right there.
Yeah, if you really want to get down to like simplicity, like bare minimum,
Just
all you
one
really
clipper,
need is a freaking
lever.
a clipper and a trash bag, and a person to cut,
Just get it going.
and you could literally get started with that.
Or you talk to somebody in jail, they'll be like, all you need is a comb and a razor.
What you don't need is excuses. You don't need the most expensive tools. You don't need what you're seeing on TikTok and IG and YouTube. You don't need the best skills and all that. Literally, you
Just
need
get
a clipper.
started.
Yeah, just get started. You need a clipper. You need a client, and that's about it.
Y un
really
chingo
don't-
de ganas.
Yeah.
Un chingo de ganas.